reading.
Considering you post subtitles on your videos, I think I'm pretty much justified in also sending you for reading at this point. Besides, it's Star Wars. All the numbered episodes have a text crawl. Stupid sin is stupid.
Leia leads a brave resistance that will only account for 5 minutes of screen time for a legendary character.
Speaking of reading, what's up with the random capitalization of certain words in this sin? Are you also that guy on Facebook that capitalizes every first letter of every word in a paragraph? Because I hate that guy.
Also, if a Star Destroyer's shadow is this large and looming, then it's either super close to this galaxy's sun, or else this is a tiny-ass planet. Or you're just having fun with visuals and don't really care about scale.
Or the ship is close to the camera. No, that's it. The ship is close to the camera, dummy.
BB-8 is an obvious attempt to sell toys. Where can I buy one?
Not really. Because this movie is the beginning of a whole new trilogy with new characters, they probably didn't want to use R2-D2 again, as he's literally been in every single film, and they may have thought people were tired of him. They were f***ing wrong, but hey, so are you.
Here, this is how you close your hand.
Yeah, that's right. Pad that sin count. Pad it.
Without the Jedi, there can be no balance in the Force.
Funny, since I once heard that Anakin was prophesied to bring balance to the Force, and he weren't no Jedi. Well, not long-term anyway.
Not long-term? Anakin was a Jedi for 14 years before he went to the dark side. That's enough time for a youngling to be born, grow up, and get killed by Anakin.
Thankfully for the plot, those 2 overachiever stormtroopers who shot at him actually damaged his ship enough to keep him from taking off. I guess they missed the memo about how they're supposed to be horrible at aiming.
Okay, so you're sending a movie for doing the opposite of what you would normally send a Star Wars movie for, and that's stormtroopers actually hitting something. That would be a sin off if I were making this video, but I bet people would still be crying about the fake laugh while taking the video seriously. Huh?
You take this. It's safer with you than it is with me.
I learned about this from the historical documents. Leia did it 38 years ago, so it should work for us. Why is it safer with a dumbass droid than a savvy pro-pilot human being? Couldn't you literally bury it in the sand and it'd be safer than with either one of you assholes?
Or, this is what droids are capable of, and have compartments built for that exact purpose. Look, I get that you're trying to point out how similar this movie is to A New Hope, but if we're going down this route, you should have seen the movie for having stormtroopers, lightsabers, and Jedis, because that movie had those too.
The map to Skywalker. We know you found it.
Wait a minute, the guy who vanished left behind a map? Like, a physical f***ing map that any asshole could stumble upon and find you with?
No, it's not a physical map. You know this and are feigning ignorance here. Since f***ing when does Star Wars use physical maps instead of, holograms?
So who talks first? You talk first? I talk first.
Hilarious 2015 style line makes its way into not hilarious scene from a galaxy long ago and far, far away.
Yeah, except Poe is speaking like Han would in this scenario. I mean, this isn't out of place for Star Wars, as we've always had smart alecky male leads in these movies. Weren't you attempting to point out all the ways this movie is like A New Hope?
Well, I think it's cool that Kylo Ren stopped this blaster bolt in midair. Was he really dedicating some of his dark power to keep it in midair the whole time?
Yes, he was. The scene is meant to show you how adept Kylo is with the Force. Your question isn't a sin, dude. It has an obvious answer.
Finn Trooper walks in here and there is no one on the left side, but as soon as he removes his helmet, boom, sudden Captain Phasma.
Because she obviously walks in as he turns around? This is f***ing stupid.
In its quest to be unique and Star Warsian, movie unfortunately rips off Oblivion.
Oh hey, this movie has a character rappelling down a rope. Must be pop culture reference.
Number 115. You're an asshole.
What you brought me today is worth 1/4 portion.
GameStop. Thing probably died because it was trying to walk in a desert.
Oh! Oh! Oh, beautiful! Have you guys heard this one? Oh!
Luckily, BB-8 is found by someone who is profoundly important to the story.
Rey is important to the story because BB-8 finds her.
Ren wants the prisoner.
I know it's hard to believe, but you should totally trust me. He sent the recently disgraced stormtrooper to do that job following 0 protocols.
How would any of the thousands of stormtroopers know Finn was recently disgraced? I mean, you're basically asking why don't ants recognize every member of their colony as individuals as opposed to a member of the collective? And the answer should be f***ing obvious.
Why in the f***ing is there a tether on this TIE fighter?
Because it's refueling? Because it's refueling? Because it's refueling? Because it's refueling? Because it's refueling?
All right, we gotta take out as many of these cannons as we can, or we're not gonna get very far.
Hey, why not just fly perpendicular to the ship? Like, away and shit. Eventually the cannons will be out of range to hit you, right?
Jeremy thinks flying perpendicular to the ship is a better idea than flying towards the rear of the craft.
FN2187 reported to my division, was evaluated and sent to reconditioning.
But obviously not, because he was simply allowed to wander freely about the ship.
No, it just means that either the reconditioning didn't work or he just didn't go. He wasn't a prisoner. Phasma gave him an order which he obviously chose to disobey.
Somehow, upon crash landing, Finn and Poe end up super far away from each other, which is sort of crucial to the plot, but not very logical.
What? In this scene, you can clearly see Finn landed with a parachute. That's the logical explanation.
Good thing Poe left his jacket behind for no reason, so that Finn could pick it up and be seen by BB-8 later.
No reason? They're in a fucking desert. That's the reason, genius.
Luke Skywalker. I thought he was a myth.
But why? Wouldn't he be in all the history books and news and fucking what?
Hey Jeremy, you are aware that the concept of the Galactic Empire and First Order are based on Nazi Germany, right? If you know anything about Nazi Germany, you'd know that propaganda is a real thing, and because Luke basically shuts himself off from the rest of the Resistance after trying to train Ben Solo, it makes sense that there are people that think the Jedi and Luke are myths. This movie is set 30 years after Return of the Jedi, where Luke was the only remaining one after Order 66 basically wiped out all the Jedi 24 years prior to that. That's a 54-year gap.
That much garbage! The garbage will do!
How can the bad guys be close enough to obliterate this one ship and surely notice them running for the Falcon, but not obliterate the Falcon before they can fire it up and take off?
If we're going to be nitpicky here, then okay. The bad guys obviously didn't see them running toward the freighter. Do you know how difficult it is to chase or see people on the ground from an aircraft? It's basically a miracle they shot the first craft they were heading towards in the first place.
Also, Millennium Falcon just happens to be on Jakku for some reason.
The movie explains why the Falcon was on Jakku, so this is Jeremy feigns ignorance cliche.
Nice job!
I'm getting pretty good at this.
That's great, kid. Don't get cocky.
Jeremy uses a line from the franchise to send the film for no reason cliche. 10 sins for that fucking laugh.
The two were accompanied by a girl.
Excessive use of the Force.
Excessive use of Star Wars puns.
Yay, it's Han Solo and Chewbacca. One question, though. Why the fuck are they flying around in this system at this very moment in time? They just happened to find their old ship like it was gifted to them. And yeah, they were looking for a signal, but they still got here right when Rey and Finn got into space.
And people got mad at me for pointing out that Jeremy sends things even though he says the solutions to the problem he brings up in the same sentence.
Why the fuck are they flying around in this system at this very moment in time? And yeah, they were looking for a signal.
See?
Movie earns an extra 10 sins for the colossal waste of talent in hiring the two guys from The Raid 2.
The guys from The Raid 2? Don't you mean The Raid? The objectively best movie in the series? I mean, sure, The Raid 2 is badass, but we don't say the guy from The Matrix Revolutions when referring to Keanu Reeves.
I got a bad feeling about this.
What? You heard those monsters screaming at a distance? Of course you got a bad feeling about this. This is not the kind of strange, odd, bad feeling that classic Star Wars characters have when they go into the unknown. This is a prequel-like bad feeling where the danger is right in front of them.
Jeremy sends a movie for the usage of a running gag when about 40% of his videos are nothing but running gags.
Well, how does Rey know that this control board will... How did she know that button would close the...
Because it's a big-ass button next to the monitors for those doors? What would you assume the biggest button near a monitor looking at doors in a spaceship controls, Jeremy?
We shall see.
By the way, is this the rented space where Thanos and Sinestro conduct all their space conspiracy business?
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference.
It's at this point you had a nagging feeling in the back of your mind that this whole movie was simply repurposing everything from A New Hope, and you haven't even gotten to the new Death Star yet.
How poetic that a channel who recycles the same jokes, format, and cliches to criticize movies is criticizing a movie for rehashing ideas. Did I say poetic? Because I meant to say ironic, unaware, and hypocritical.
Maybe we should have seen this in Return of the Jedi, but Luke decided to bring that Darth Vader mask with him when he escaped the second Death Star, but why? But now Kylo Ren has it, meaning some enterprising Ewok sold that on eBay to Darth Benjamin 1983 since we last saw it.
Don't you mean Amazon or OfferUp? Who still buys and sells things on eBay, old man?
Like all of them, I was taken from a family I'll never know. In my first battle, I made a choice.
That was his first battle? He's like 30. How f***ing long do stormtroopers train? At what age was he taken? Jesus, this truthful confession only brings up more questions.
John Boyega is 26 now, and this movie came out in 2015 and began filming in 2014, meaning he was nowhere near 30 here.
Also, they sent a rookie stormtrooper to help find Luke's map.
Yes, why wouldn't they? You make it seem like this is some treacherous journey that required the elite of the elite. Finding a map is like the best mission I can think of to send a rookie stormtrooper.
Key to Rey's Pass just happens to be in this remote and random bar.
Ah, you thought this was the key to Rey's Pass. You and all the fanboys were wrong.
As the last day of the Republic!
If you didn't get the Hitler parallel already, here's some stuff to smack your face with.
This has been a thing since the original trilogy, and please don't try to make it seem like your writers aren't the ones pointing out obvious things to you, Jeremy. We all know better.
And what's the point of this anyway? They blew up 5 planets, none of which we know anything about. And for what? At least when the Empire blew up Alderaan, we knew it was Leia's home planet. Why not just go ahead and blow up several other planets while you're at it and just end this thing? You don't even need to find Luke anymore.
It's almost as if you didn't understand the point of that scene in A New Hope. They blew up Alderaan because Leia wasn't cooperating, and they're dicks. This is a demonstration of power while also destroying the New Republic. Also, they're trying to find Luke because he can potentially rebuild the Jedi Order.
Where'd you get that?
A good question. For another time.
Well, that's a tidy screenwriter's trick to get out of explaining shit.
Or, and I'm spitballing here, it doesn't fucking matter for the story they're trying to tell. Besides, all these side stories are already known by real Star Wars fans, and the backstory for how Maz got the saber is as glamorous as it sounds. A scavenger found it and sold it to her.
I need a weapon!
You have one!
After all, any Joe Schmo can handle a lightsaber.
Luke did, and come on, it's just a sword. He's been trained to fight with multiple weapons as a stormtrooper, and I'm sure that includes sword-like weapons.
I like this thing.
Cute moment, but that's the first time ever that Han has fired Chewie's bowcaster. Seriously?
Considering Han has a signature weapon himself that he's pretty adept with, yeah, this isn't a big deal at all.
Raider!
So he has this badass staff thing that can deflect lightsabers and but he still threw down his guns so he could get into a mano-a-mano sword fight, which is some bullshit.
You are aware that lightsabers can deflect blaster bolts, right?
Ray.
So you send the word Rey and not the comical overacting? I mean, with this amount of overreaction to Rey being kidnapped, you'd have thought Finn was Rey's baby daddy or some shit.
Goddamn C-3PO.
Wait a minute. You send a snarky, pessimistic, whiny robot? Jeremy would be excellent at the Birdman.
So, Leia should be pretty one with the Force by now, right? She's had a good 30 years, and they made such a big deal about it in the original trilogy that if anything happened to Luke, her untapped Force magic could save the universe. But appears she's the same old Leia. Still awesome, but not a Jedi.
Oh boy. I love the fact that you want Leia to demonstrate Force powers, but then cry like a little bitch when she does in The Last Jedi.
If you're a fan of girls, then this moment pulled you straight out of the movie. Adam Driver is a good and appealing actor, but once you do something as unique as his character on that show, the thought of him being a Sith Lord is hilarious.
So, you're sinning a movie because an actor was in something else and did things. Yeah.
Then the Resistance must be destroyed before they get to Skywalker.
Why didn't you just destroy them already? You clearly have the power to do it. Why is their ability or non-ability to find Luke so important to that decision? Just do it already.
Yeah, the problem is they don't know where they are. I mean, they're called the Resistance. Wouldn't be much of a resistance if the oppressing power could just destroy them as easily as you're suggesting. What's next? Just destroy ISIS already? Just cure cancer already?
You will remove these restraints and leave this cell with the door open.
Rey, realizing she might have Jedi powers and attempting to use them on the fly, is one of the best things about this movie.
Okay, as an enormous fan of this franchise, and even a person who enjoyed this movie, this is not one of the best things about this movie. The fact that this works is one of the worst things about this movie. I mean, I laughed in the theater, but thinking about it, there is no reason for Rey to even know this power exists, especially considering she thought the Jedi were myths. So I'm giving you 10 cents for praising a Mary Sue because you're a channel that points out cliches for a living.
Welcome to the J.J. Abrams Roadshow. Can you guess how many actors in this scene were once in well-regarded J.J. Abrams TV shows? The clock starts now.
Oh no, people who worked together before enjoy working together and do it again. Is this Hollywood?
It's another Death Star.
I wish that were the case, Major.
You see, because this new weapon is way larger than the already huge Death Star, it's completely different.
Or if you'd shut the fuck up and let him explain it.
Some kind of thermal oscillator.
There is one. Precinct 47.
Okay, Finn spent time on the Starkiller base as a stormtrooper, but how does he know that shit?
Again, people got mad at me for satirizing this in my Infinity War video, but here is yet another time Jeremy answers himself in the same sentence he asks the question.
Super important Starkiller base. You'd think they'd have surveillance cameras basically everywhere, but they do not.
Yes, let's point a security camera at a sheer wall, because that makes sense.
Wait, is there going to be enough room in this compartment when that big metal thing goes back into it?
Because she survives this, the answer to your question is yes. And you still send the movie here.
And their weapon will be fully charged in 10 minutes. It would take a miracle to save us now.
C-3PO somehow never saw Star Wars.
It's actually scary how easily we could replace Jeremy with C-3PO and not even notice a difference.
Ben!
Yep, Ben was named after Obi-Wan, the guy neither Leia nor Han had a real relationship with.
Did you not watch A New Hope? Han was literally transporting Obi-Wan and Luke to Alderaan, and Obi-Wan sacrificed his life so that Han and Luke could escape once they were captured. Not to mention that Kylo is Luke's nephew, meaning he could have also had a hand in naming him.
Anyone that doesn't know at this point that Han is dead just doesn't know movies, and it makes me wish the film did more to hide this reveal.
Yeah, but killing off arguably their most beloved character is Walking Dead attempting to continue after Rick Grimes leaves the show and thinking their ratings won't go down the drain levels of stupid.
Leia can sense when Han has been killed halfway across the galaxy, but still no idea where her living Jedi brother is without a f***ing map. Do I have that right?
Luke is actively suppressing the Force because he doesn't want to be found. Otherwise, Snoke and Kylo would have known his location a long time ago. Han's death affected the Force and Kylo's feelings, so that's what Leia is experiencing.
Come get it!
Kylo does not have to engage with Finn in a lightsaber duel. He can just throw him with a little Force magic, but he gets in a lightsaber duel anyway.
It's called being cocky and overconfident.
I realize it's possible Finn is a Force user and doesn't know it. In fact, I'd say it's positive.
About that.
Well, damn, that shit's just awesome right there. We will remove 3 sins for this badassery.
Again, this is just a Mary Sue being a Mary Sue. She can fly, she can use the Force, she can fight with a lightsaber. Part of me thinks if she were a dude, a lot more people would realize how poor this bit of the story is.
Sure is good of the planet to wait to explode so they can have this fight.
Jeremy continues to fail to understand things that are happening at the same time.
Rey strikes Kylo in the face with a lightsaber and it does not kill him.
All she did was cut him. This is a franchise where people regularly survive being burned, maimed, shot, and frozen in carbonite, and you're asking for Kylo to die from being cut.
Massive planet explodes, but as long as you show the ships flying away from it, there's no way that big explosion can catch up to them.
Jeremy has never seen Star Wars.
Right now, Rey's thinking, how do I tell this woman I stood and gaped as her husband was betrayed and killed by a guy we all should have realized was evil? Or she's thinking, this is a really long hug with a stranger.
You chose to send this instead of Leia basically ignoring Chewbacca.
R2-D2, meet a better you. BB-8, meet the previous holder of the cutest Star Wars droid title.
You. Anyone who thinks BB-8 is better than R2 can kiss my green ass.
I still don't understand this map. Like, do you actually need to follow the path Luke draws out in orange on this thing? Wouldn't a simple dot that says I am here suffice? And leaving R2 with everything except one missing piece? Were you worried someone was going to hack into him?
Holy shit. This entire movie is basically the First Order chasing BB-8 because he has a small piece of the map, and you're asking if Luke were afraid of someone hacking R2. Jesus Christ.
Having found her long-lost brother she's been searching for years, Leia sends the strange girl she just met and Chewbacca. Why isn't she going herself?
Because she has a resistance to run? The plan is to bring Luke back, remember?
Do you think Luke was maybe a passenger on Oceanic Flight 815?
Yes, Jeremy, you watched Lost. We f***ing get it.
And honestly, I'd rather have the movie end with Rey flying off to look for Luke, as opposed to this final scene of her finding him and him looking old and tired. This entire final scene is fan service, plain and simple, and it makes no sense for the actual story. The story, as presented, ends more naturally on the mystery of not knowing if Rey even finds Luke. But whatever, you sold your toys, so who gives a shit, right?
So, according to Jeremy Scott, them completing the map and then finding Luke doesn't make sense for the story, even though that was literally the entire plot. It's almost as if this man is whooshing everyone. Did I just get whooshed?